with a raised hand, we will take the first question. Or if there's one in writing. Professor Messing.
Thank you.
We'll bring the microphone to you.
Thank you. So
there's a certain amount of irony in Professor Messing addressing President Bruininks at this meeting. I've never met the man, but I'll never forget reading something that he had written in connection with President Bruininks. Dear Mr. President, you disgrace the University of Minnesota each and every time you open your mouth. If you had a dime's worth of integrity, you would promptly resign. Yours truly, William Messing, Professor, School of Mathematics, University of Minnesota. It is a good thing for Professor Messing and for me that tenure exists.
Budget. Unlike many places around the country, we do not have a particular dedicated fee from students to fund athletics. We believe athletics should be substantially self-supporting, with one possible exception. In the early 1970s, the state of Minnesota, through its legislative processes and a bill signed by the governor, committed about $3 million of funding so the university could expand intercollegiate athletics opportunity for young women, students at the University of Minnesota under Title IX.
Ah, yes, Title IX, the reason for all our problems in the athletic department.
It's been my position since I became president that athletics should take the same cut in that state allocation and other resources that have been put into their budget as any other academic or administrative support unit at the University of Minnesota. In short, it's my position that they should be substantially self-supporting and not draw from the academic resources of the university, with that one exception. I do think the citizens of this state, when they invested in Title IX at the University of Minnesota, were making a value-based judgment that I strongly support.
No, Bob, Title IX is not the problem here. Why don't you admit that the overall deficit in the athletic department, approximately $5 million a year, is the problem? And the solution is simply to cut down on expenses in the athletic department or to increase revenue. As I think you'll have to admit, the revenue generating capacities of the athletic departments in the United States are strained indeed, particularly with the enormous salaries that are paid to coaches. You, as a university president, share responsibility for this situation.
Going forward, we're not cross-subsidizing maintenance in the stadium with academic money or academic support. There is a student fee of $25 a year that goes to support the retiring of bonds or the retiring of debt related to the stadium.
Ah, the dirty little secret, a student fee. Bob, I'm not going to argue with you about how much money from students is used to support athletics, and I believe that the amount is actually underestimated by the student fee number. But the point is, there are many students who will never use the football stadium, who will never go to a football game. So why exactly are they being nailed for the cost of building this stadium?
With respect to employees, I want to make a particular point here. I have always been a strong advocate of all the employees of the University of Minnesota.
A strong advocate of all the employees? That claim does not seem to be consistent with your earlier statement. At the infamous March 25th Faculty Senate meeting, we heard the following.
And I don't think the added protection is, for some parts of our workforce, is exactly worth it and worth the cost.
This is an incredible, elitist, and arrogant thing to say. Do you mean that the lowest paid people at the U are just not worth the cost to you of fair treatment?
You could talk to P&A employees who have known me for 40 years, and they will tell you I've been one of the staunchest advocates to increase their engagement in the governance system of the University of Minnesota, to create employment opportunities for our talented P&A employees.
This claim is a hard one to swallow, President Bruininks. During your earlier interaction with Professor Messing, you seemed surprised by his reference to a draconian P&A policy. For your information, there is one, and I'd suggest that you look it up. Google is your friend. Using the phrases listed here, I'm sure you can find the relevant documents. Let me read to you from this document. The university reserves the right to modify the appointment terms of academic, professional, and academic administrative P&A employees throughout the university system in order to address financial stringency. Specifically, the university may 1. Reduce P&A salaries or percentages of appointments during the term of an employee's appointment. 2. Impose unpaid furloughs or other mandatory unpaid absences. 3. Postpone compensation. Or 4. Take other actions as determined by the university in its sole discretion. All P&A appointments are made subject to this right effective June 1st, 2010. Certainly sounds draconian to me, Dr. Bruininks.
Now, people, let me read you from the book. It ain't necessarily so. It ain't necessarily so. The things that you're liable to read in the Bible, it ain't necessarily so.